Hi guys, welcome back. So this time I'm actually going to park my car because when I was watching the other footage it was very shaky and I couldn't fix that. So I'm just going to park my car while I'm waiting. And basically today what we'll go over is, again, I'm going to keep consistent with kind of sharing my thoughts in real time because I do feel like it's actually good documentation even for myself, because I'm planning on doing this on other practices. But also it kind of, again, gives you unfiltered stuff that I'm worried about or things that are going through my mind. So let's get started with that. And then afterwards, I'm actually going to go a little bit more structured with the branding part and the marketing part. In terms of what's on my mind right now, the architect plan layout still hasn't been finalized, but I think it's very, very close to being finalized. The equipment that we're planning on getting, which is a huge investment, that one I think we may change course and maybe just go with the cheaper option for now, and then maybe down the line we can upgrade it. So that will also change a little bit on the layout of the floor plan. See the interior decorating part. So interior design actually has a lot to do with the branding, obviously. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm waiting for the branding to be finalized, which we'll go into in a little bit. From there, we can kind of delve into more like the interior decorating part. The hard part is with the interior decoration, you really need to make sure you finalize your brand, what message you're trying to convey, the brand story, the marketing, everything needs to be in sync. And so ideally you should have a logo and the branding story and the concept finalized before even going into the interior decoration part. However, we are actually very pressed for time. Like I said, we signed the lease, and so now the time is ticking. I'm trying to do multiple things at once and hoping that they kind of overlap and we can start other projects ahead of time and then make edits as we need to, but at least we got the foundation started. So that's kind of my thinking. I don't know if it's going to work out or not. What I had the interior decorator do is basically come up with 3 concepts, and she actually came up with 3 kind of different concepts, and it's very generic concepts at this point. We're not really finalizing with color or like even the color palette. It's just more like what kind of feel we're looking for. So I did get those 3. And then from there, we're going to narrow it down to the 1. And then from there, we can really work with color and texture and exactly what furniture goes where. So it is a pretty big project for this interior decorator, but she's super excited. So I'm super excited. So that kind of leads me to this part, the marketing and branding part. So I'm going to kind of go through the timeline that I have the branding person. She created us a timeline, and I'm going to share that with you guys so you guys can kind of see what exactly the layout is, because she actually did this really cool calendar and she like blocked it out with color, and then I loved it. It was like a start and finish. The first thing is the timeline. You're going to want to talk with the branding consultant, and they're going to come up with like a timeline. So it goes everywhere from the branding concept to like the logo, furniture. We'll finalize the furniture and order it by, even the small stuff like website and marketing, and all of it kind of is good to have like a timeline, because all of these categories basically overlap. So you want to make sure that one isn't waiting too long for the next. So right when you finish one part of it, you should be ready for the next part. What we have right now in real time is the color palette. That's something that we have to work on. This is hand in hand with the logo. So we have to figure out what colors we want, because we also are going to need it for the interior decorator, who's going to start selecting things based off the color and the texture. That one I think we need to finalize soon. So that one I think we'll probably have it done within the next couple days. Again, I mentioned this, so along with the color palette, it's the logo. So logos, I think a lot of people think, oh, I can just hire someone, get something done really quick. When you look at logos, you see something and you're like, oh, it's not even a big deal. But for those of you that haven't really worked with a logo consultant or logos in general before, it actually takes a lot of thought, because the logo is something that's going to become recognizable. It's what your brand is trying to convey. And whenever somebody sees your product, they should be able to recognize what you're about, what you're selling, what message, what ambience to expect once they step into your office. So it's actually very important, even down to like the type of font that you have. So for example, we had 3 different fonts that we were contending with, and one of it was very masculine, and to me it kind of conveyed like a very high-tech software kind of feel. And that one, it draws up like the feeling of like Urban Outfitters or Anthropologie, kind of like that kind of feel. The other one was kind of a rendition off of our original artwork logo, and it was just kind of updated. So all 3 of these I think has pros and cons. Right now we're kind of trying to veer more towards like a unisex that wouldn't isolate one gender and kind of keep it very neutral so it's taken well by both genders. That's what we're working on. Color obviously has a lot of psychology behind it. If you look in the healthcare industry, blue and green is used a lot, and it's because they have very positive like trustworthiness. So there's like all these like surveys that have been done, so you guys can probably Google it, but all the colors actually invoke some kind of emotion for the view. And not only that, it's like the actual logo itself. So what that means is it's like a picture or an image that represents your brand. So if you don't have enough room to, let's say, put out the whole name of your office, you should have some kind of icon or an image that really resonates with your brand and it's consistently branded throughout all of your marketing. So let's say like social media or your website or something simple as like prescription and stuff like that. That's something that takes up a lot of time to make sure that you are conveying the right message. That's really important. The next thing on the list is actually interior paints and furniture. Again, I did kind of touch on the furniture aspect, the interior paint, and even the texture. That kind of goes hand in hand with what color palette you end up choosing and what colors you want to use. So as long as it's all very consistent, then you should be okay. That's why it's really important to have your branding person, your marketing person, your architect, interior decorator, like anyone that's working on your team to create this message. You have to make sure they're all communicating with each other so that we're all saying the consistent message. The last thing you want is to have somebody that comes into your office and it's not consistent with, let's say, even your online presence, like your website. That's the worst. You want to make sure everything is consistent, and that way a patient isn't confused. Okay, sorry about that. Somebody was delivering furniture at my house. So yeah, back to it. To kind of give you guys an idea of like how long to expect or how far out you should start planning. So for the branding part, like the branding concept and finalizing all of that, that should take about a month. And so give yourself about a month to work on that. I think it takes time to do the revision. And it depends, again, if you're working with a professional, if you're going to do it yourself. Obviously, if you do it with yourself, it's a lot quicker. But for me personally, I do feel like there is value that these branding professionals can bring because they can bring what's trending nowadays and also what a lot of clients like to see. And so they have a lot more experience. And for me, I didn't want to do it myself because I did do it myself for the first office, but I didn't want to do it based on my own preference because it's just me and I wanted it to actually be taken positively across a bigger pool of people. So that's why I went with a professional this time. So about a month. For the signage, depending on where you end up, you might be able to put up a signage. In our case, we do get a large signage board. So for that one, the lead time is typically around 2.5 to 3 months, and it really depends on how quickly you can draw up the signage, and we can send the drawings over to the vendor. To be safe, do 3 months, but most likely it can be 2.5 months. It really is how quickly you can finalize a design and then give it to the vendor. And then once the vendor has, you have to approval from both the plaza that you're in, if you're in a retail plaza, and the city. And then from there, it's a matter of creating it, and that's about 2 to 3 weeks. Anticipate 3 months for that. And then lastly, for the marketing part, I think it really depends. I mean, everything depends on like how involved you want to be, how much thought you want to put into it, how much money. And for the marketing, I think we're starting about 2.5 to 3 months ahead. A lot of it is kind of like the back and forth that you have, and you start getting new ideas yourself, and then you kind of pitch it to your marketing consultant. So I guess it depends on when you feel comfortable and confident that you have a final product and plan of what you want to do for your rollout. So for us, what we're planning on doing is kind of like a soft opening, because that's when all of our equipment and everything will be ready. The space will be open and we'll be ready to see patients. However, we really want to make a very big event out of the grand opening. So I think that's going to take more time. So what we're going to do is we're going to plan for that, but we'll open the doors right when we're finished with everything in terms of furniture and equipment. But we'll actually focus and we'll plan something much bigger, like a true grand opening, probably like a month down the line after we do the soft opening. Keep an eye out for that. And if you guys are local, we are going to be in the Costa Mesa office, which is in Orange County. We will definitely send out a blast, and everyone's welcome to come check out the place, because it is kind of exciting to see an end product after you see all the work that's gone into it. And so I'll definitely keep you guys posted for that. That's going to conclude this video for now. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. Hopefully this is a little better because it's not that shaky anymore. So I guess I'll talk to you guys at the next update, and I'm going to try to do it every week from now on, so it kind of keeps me in a schedule. And again, I just don't want to lose any of my actual pain points and thought processes as to where I'm going, because I do feel like it will be very valuable to myself for sure, and maybe to you guys. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.